Hi.
And welcome everyone to another exciting adventure on the energy that surrounds us. I'm your host, Michael, and tonight's guest, I am truly grateful for coming on in such short notice. We were talking about doing an episode right when a guest asked for more time and to postpone, so she graciously last minute said I will come on Tuesday, so I hurried up and made the links and everything. And I am so excited to bring this episode because this is an episode that I have not had on before. And I think is something that really, honestly, deeply needs to be addressed. And so I hope you all will tune in and enjoy what we have to share with you because this is, I feel, something important for our growth and for ourselves on any level. And I'm going to stop rambling now and turn it over to my amazing guest to introduce herself. I give you the one, the only super extraordinaire, Phaedra Jade Star.
Hi, Michael. Thank you so much for having me on tonight. I'm so excited. This is absolutely something we should be talking about: intimacy, relationships, connection, what that looks like, what that feels like in life, because relationships are really, it's everything. I mean, you can't take your status with you. You can't take your things with you, but you take your memories, you take your heart, you take your connections with you. So I'm super excited to be here.
I'm excited as well. And can you share with us a little bit of your background and how you got involved in all of this?
My goodness, yes. Like most of us, I was having a lot of struggle in relationships. I got married very early, at the age of 19, and then married again at 26. And I just felt like, what in the heck is happening? How does this work? I don't know. And I just really stumbled around trying to understand my partner. And it wasn't until later that I really felt there was more, like a lot more. And that I'm glad came later in life because it really sat with me. And it was in my yoga practice. And Tantra, actually, is what we're going to be discussing here this evening, is a yoga practice. So I was doing the limbs, the early limbs, because there's 8 limbs of yoga. So I was doing breath work, I was doing asanas, devotional practice, but I didn't know what was at number 8, which is Tantra. And so, how to get there, how to feel alive, what did it mean like to live in a space of pleasure beyond just sexuality? Like, how did I embody that, right? So that's been my journey, is really discovering what that looks like in everyday life. And I've spent the last 2 decades diving deep into living life through Tantra.
So I'll be honest, my understanding of Tantra is on two levels, and I may be wrong on one. I'm not sure, but one level is it's based on or related with the Kama Sutra. So I'm not sure if that's just something I heard and put together or is real. And the other is it's a great way to build energy within yourself by you go to a certain point, stop it, and the energy gets reabsorbed and it helps raise energy in the body.
Both of those are right. So applaud yourself. Yes, both of those are right. And they blend together. So I will address one first. We'll talk about the energy first. So, absolutely right. Orgasm and ejaculation are separate. And when we can breathe energy and life force into our body, we actually stop draining our, let's say, our vital essence. We start recirculating it through our entire being. So your sexual energy is super powerful. If you've ever noticed in the middle of the throes of intimacy, like if you're really, really into it, the entire world stops around you. And there's something to that. That's how powerful it is. But most of us, we don't know how to circulate that energy. We get locked down into the last two chakras down in there, and we just sit there. And unfortunately, that really drains our force. So when we can breathe it up through our body, and it's not hard to do, it's breath work. When you can breathe it up through your body, we get something called a heartgasm. So I've watched this happen with men who are learning to breathe it up and their whole body comes aglow. Just so like, wow, I had no idea I could get it that high. And you can keep going. You can keep getting higher and higher. And the Kama Sutra is deeply related into the intimate practices of that. So let's remember that sex is medicine. Most of us don't know, though, how to make that happen in our everyday world. And Kama Sutra is like, it's the antidote to certain ailments. Believe it or not, the original medicine was when you had a headache or you had gallbladder pain or you had other things in your body, you would have certain postures in sex to remedy it. So if you can imagine going to a doctor and they're like, well, we're going to have you do 5 short strokes, 9 long strokes, and a couple of these in this position for an entire week, you probably would say, I'll be back next week and the week after, but it was working. And so we kind of have taken that essence out of Kama Sutra, but that's the state of the origin, is its actual medicine. And it's a heart opener. And remembering too that when we're coming from our heart, there's a lot of healing that happens in that space. So my practice is really reconnecting those pieces together for people. But first we have to do it individually. So I know a lot of us like to jump into, well, how do you do it together? And the process is how you love yourself first. What is the process of learning how to breathe energy up in your own body? Because it becomes complex when you add another individual in, right?
Right.
So really that you're saying absolutely yes to this part of the and there are parts to it called a microcosmic orbit, where you're literally circulating energy through yourself and then through your partner in a lover's embrace. And I teach that in Tantra for lovers as well, where, couples get together, they have eye contact, they learn to breathe each other in and out. And it's very, very like trance-like. It's amazing. They come out somewhere on cloud 24.
It's this. I'm kind of curious if we, and when I say we, I mean men are in touch with and are doing this in the right way, and the energy is coming off. Can it affect people who can read that energy and feel that energy and they react accordingly and you don't even have to do anything?
It is quite amazing what happens when you flip your switches. When a man is really feeling whole and centered. Now, men have they have let's say, a mechanism, let's call it that. When they know that they can please their partner, I mean, send her into orbit, it does something to him immediately. There is a feeling of, it's beyond confidence. It is, um, it's a centering, it's a wholeness. It's like a completion. He's like, it affects him immediately. So the transition of that is that when he knows he can please his partner, when that's reciprocated, it comes back and forth like a boomerang effect, circling over and over. And a man's light gets really radiant. He feels so much more alive in the world. And yeah, that does shine out. Not to mention what happens to his partner, right? If she's walking around all aglow all the time, he feels like, man, I am the man. So, yeah, yeah, it's exactly right. We're talking about turning on your light from the inside out, what that looks like, what it feels like in everyday life. And it's not impossible to do. It takes a little bit of practice, but practice is fun. I call it pleasure practices because it's not work. It really isn't. And first you are breathing, like your clothes are on. You're learning how to touch each other softly with intention. And the intention is not just to get to the next base. The intention is, how much can I feel you? How much can you feel me? And I love to do an exercise with my couples too, where we actually are thinking a thought before we touch, because it actually changes how you touch a person. So, what I'll do is a little game. I'll take a piece of paper and I'll write something on it, and the person lying down doesn't get to see it. Only the touchee gets to see it. And then they're going to touch their partner with that word in mind. And then I'll ask the partner who is touched, what did it feel like? And they are 100% like on the money. Oh, that felt really sensual. And then I'll show the word and they're like, oh my God. So it really does matter what you're holding in your mindset before you use your fingertips, which of course you do energy work. And I'm sure you're familiar with some chakras, but your heart chakra is right here in the palm of your hand too. So when you're touching, you're lighting up all your centers in your body. So yeah, you feel it everywhere.
Right.
Ethereally, yeah, physically, yes.
Right, because I had a experience and it was like a side effect that I've never heard of or experienced, where I was doing energy work, Reiki energy on someone, and they asked me to work on their root chakra. And so I'm working on a root chakra, and the next thing I know is I get a phone call from her saying every female got affected by the energy. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. All I did was work on like I normally do. And so that's why I was wondering is it because I was centered and balanced and in total energy form that radiated out, and that's why it affected everybody there, and it was nothing that I did, or I guess I did do by doing energy, but it wasn't intentional is what I mean.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, you had like a shaman effect, right? Like you
Right.
touched and then it went out. So, I mean, energy is vast, right? Like our heart chakra is the frequency wave is much bigger than our brain wave. And so, yeah, you did light up the room. And probably since you flipped her switches, other women were really feeling that too. And it makes them hungry for the same thing. So, well done. First off, yes.
I'll be honest, it made me not want to do that again because I was like, I don't know what happened and I don't want it to become a thing that's
Ah!
happening and I don't know what's going on. And so I was like, I better not do this anymore. And so I kind of was like, stopped going to events.
Oh no! It sounds like you've got the magic touch though, Michael. That's remarkable. So Reiki, energy, we're talking about all that too. Like this is all part of it. Your attunement, knowing where the root chakra is and how that starts in the sexual charge of energy and how that builds up through the body. That's remarkable. And so not considered in sexual practice. because mostly people come together and they do what I call formula. They kiss, they do a little rubbing, and they try to get two places really fast, a little too fast. But when we're slowing down and we're taking our time and we're totally aware, and this is the kind of the connection we're looking for anyway. We are at a point in our world where men are almost terrified to approach women, and women are just frustrated because they don't know how to connect with men. And we've got this great divide, and really it's a lack of understanding. There's a lack of awareness about women's arousal and how men can meet women in that space and hold them energetically. So Tantra is really vast. It's way more than it's just sexual positions. It's encompassed in moving energy and connection together, and not just in sex. I mean, literally, it's like when you wake up in the morning, can you say what you appreciate about your partner? That's tantric, right? Can you look in your partner's eyes and say nothing at all and say everything too? That's also tantric. So it's very expansive.
That, that makes sense and everything. And I kind of feel like one of the main issues is with, why the two are having trouble connecting is in society we have the divine masculine is being hammered down and being told is toxic. The
Yeah.
divine feminine has gone off the charts and is going to extremes, and it's like there's no balance anymore.
Correct. We are seeing something really remarkable. Your polarities are necessary. So, I mean, I've seen, women say, oh, we don't really need men. And men go, oh, but you actually need each other. You really do. Yin and yang, cold and hot. We all need each other, right? And so we're definitely in need of that balance you're talking about, that harmony. And here's the thing, Michael. Women are driving on yang energy. I mean, they're all go, go, go get it. And while that's okay, is also not their essence. A woman's essence is to attract, to open, to blossom, to bring in, right? A man is his mode is very straightforward, directive, go get it, right? And if he's too complacent, feeling lazy and not in his center, he's depressed. He feels whoppish, weak, not solid, right? So it's like it's trying to get these two beautiful polarities working together. And I like to think about it like this, like women are kind of a storm, right? We are much more emotional, we are watery. And men, if they can hold a space, they can hold the space around this woman and not try to fix her, but hold her, right? And when a woman feels safe, she opens and blossoms. And when a man can hold a woman when she opens, he feels sacred and secure, right? So it's really kind of shifting dynamic here because, men are naturally, they want to protect, they want to honor, they want to love, they want to be devoted, they love to please. And sometimes women are like, I can do it by myself, and that's great. But sometimes we just need to relax and let a man do it for us. It feels really good. I don't know what happened to not letting people open the car door for us. That seems crazy.
I
I mean,
know.
old
And
school.
it's like, and I had a relationship where I thought I was doing everything the right way. I was being supportive. I was offering support for everything she was going through, and I got ghosted for it. And I was like, that threw me for a loop because I was
Yeah.
like, wait, if I'm doing everything right and I get tossed to the corner, I do everything wrong, I get tossed to the corner. What's the point? Because I'm going to get tossed to the corner.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Where's the center line? Right. So just being true to yourself, Michael, being authentic and knowing who you are, that's the only thing you have to do. And, there's going to be a lot of women that come and go. Like I get that too. A lot of men bouncing in and out, and hey, that's what we practice in discernment, right? It's not personal. If we're absolutely doing what we need to be doing to keep ourselves centered, then that's where we stay. right? In our sovereignty. So yeah, it's going to be, what's the better side? And it's like, what feels right to you? What feels genuine within your makeup there? I mean, if
Right.
you're, yeah,
And it's interesting you talk about being old school. Is I kind of grew up and taught myself a lot of things, and one of the things that I taught myself was, this is going to go into metaphysics a little bit, and probably into areas a lot of people don't think about, but women are like the portal of creation. So I was like, I can't enter that space unless there is full commitment, and I can't just go in the portal, leave the portal, and be like, one and done, thank you, okay, one night
hmm,
stand or anything. It's like I never was that way. It's like I programmed myself that if there isn't long term, it's not happening, because I don't do the creation cycle just to do the cycle.
yeah,
There's a purpose for it. There's
yeah.
a sacredness to it.
It sounds like you're an investor. See, it's worth investing in on long term because our relationships get better when we do that. Superficial stuff is just, it's exactly that, one and done. But when we get older, we are longing for that connection. Things just don't do it for us anymore. That whole quick pickup at the bar just kind of, it's not my thing. Where is the juice in this? Like, where is you're right, the vortex of creation. Where can I enter and be accepted and received and continue to keep giving and getting it back, right? Because that is way more attractive than just hitting something off real quick and exchanging phone numbers and it's like, yeah, out the door. So yeah, the investment for us is absolutely important. And I mean, with what we have in lifestyle now, we have non-monogamous, monogamous, polyamorous, and it goes into a long list of possibilities. And what we're saying is like the options are really open as long as we're connected, communicating, respecting each other, honoring each other, right? And let's be honest, the more you have in the mix, the more challenging it's going to be. Shadows surface, situations happen, sometimes jealousy occurs, right? And you have to be ready to address all of those things in your relationships when you're doing it.
Yeah, I will admit, I would be talking with some women, and I would be turned off and be like, sorry, this isn't going to work, because if I was to say I was talking to a friend of mine and this is what she was going through, they flip on this jealousy switch, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
it's like an instant kill for me, because I'm like, I don't have it, I don't understand it, and it's like it confuses me, and I'm like, and it's drama, and I'm like, I don't like drama.
No. Who has time for drama? None of us. Not really.
Yeah, and they would say, well, if I didn't love you, then jealousy shows that I do, and I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Hmm.
Not to me, at
Recognition
least.
and appreciation shows that you love someone, right? Jealousy is an
Right.
insecurity. If I can be just straight cut to the center there, it means we have some place in us that doesn't feel like it's enough. And that's real
And
close to shame.
yeah, and to me, if someone's insecure, I tend to think in my mind, either they cheated or someone cheated on them, and so they're expecting it and wanting it from me, and I'm not that way. I'm Once I imprint, I'm on,
Yeah.
and I don't see anything else. But it's like, and then I'll be accused of it. I'm like, oh, I'm mirroring it for you, so you're the one that's doing it, and I will end it even if I have no proof of it, because I'm
Oh.
like, the universe is showing it to me, which means if it ain't
Mhm.
me, it's them. And so I'm like, nope, I don't cheat. I don't tolerate cheat. And so it's like, sometimes I wonder, did I mistaken read? But I always felt like the universe wouldn't lead me astray. So far, so good, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know this too, the principles, the laws that we have, like we have 13, 24. Some people say 24 laws. And so if we're bringing jealousy in, it's going to be our own self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it? Like
Right,
that's what you're going to attract. Already from that dynamic, you're already saying, this is not going to work. So a person has to be solid when they come in, and that's where the work on themselves begins. As we were saying in the beginning, individual practice, right? If you've got jealousy, work on that first before you bring someone else in, because it isn't fair to another individual to be like, I just don't trust you. I just don't trust myself. Well, you need to work on that, right?
right.
Hey, and yeah.
I have said numerous times, you're judging me based on your past experiences, which is unfair to me.
Yes.
And I do my best not to judge you based on my past experiences. It is hard, and they come out of left field sometimes, and you
Yeah.
know, it's all part of, you used the term shadow work, and I'm used to shadow work being like learning lessons in life, changing patterns in your life, but I've never thought of shadow work on the intimacy level. Like,
Oh, yes.
and so is it the same type of work, or is it through different means and different ways, so to speak?
When we're dealing with shadows, we're dealing with all kinds of complexities, right? We're dealing with childhood shadows, we're dealing with intimacy shadows, we're dealing with all kinds of pieces. So yeah, intimacy shadows are those nasty little "you're not enough, they'll never like you got too many skeletons in your closet," all of that stuff. And so, or body image, right? Shame, or all of those things, they come up. And so working through those shadows are imperative. Now, there are techniques that we can do where we bond together, where people are literally helping each other move through the spaces of healing. But you can't lean on a person. That's the difference, is you can't ask another person to work your shadows for you. They can only be your support while you're working through that. So it's absolutely important that we work through those more erotic, intimate parts of us, because we don't want to bring that in the bedroom. Now, we're not perfect. None of us are going to be exempt of shadows. Actually, if we don't have a shadow, we don't know light. Remember, we said we need both contrast, but your shadows don't want to take over your light. That's not good. So we've got to be able to turn our light on enough where shadows kind of stay in the back where they belong. And they, when we need to address them, we go, oh, there you are. Come forth. I'm not afraid to see you and work through you. But if we don't, shadows are so big and scary, people just stuff them down, right? They just don't even want to go there. They try to drink it, pill pop it, go get shopping, whatever, take a new girlfriend. And none of that is going to help the shadow. It's still there.
I find it interesting because I recently was working, I wrote a book about the shadow, and as a part of the book, and the realization that I came through my 48 years of being here is I used to fear the shadow because I was like, shadow is always like they show it in the dark, and they always
Mm-hmm.
talk about this being this the bad, element. It's in the shadow, so it's got to be bad. And I realized we can't see a shadow unless there's light in it, because otherwise it would just blend in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's the balance of the light and dark
Yes.
is the shadow, and I have a whole different view of it now, and it's like I welcome the shadow when it shows up, and I'm like, oh, what are you showing me now? Where am I a little off or way off?
They become
And
teachers.
right, and so I just wanted to bring that awareness and see your thoughts of, because as you were just describing, it was like, yeah, that's the way I used to think of the shadow. And
Yeah. One thing I like to help people become aware of is there's an interesting phenomena that happens with shadows. When we're really cranking up our inner light, if you've ever noticed that a shadow doesn't dissipate, it actually gets thicker. It gets inkier and more dense, right? So we've got to be prepared for shadows that really are like they got a lot of juice and power. When we're coming to them, we don't come to them with fear, with anger, with frustration or desperation, right? Because that doesn't do anything to create our light. But like you're saying right there, to open your space to invite the shadow, because you know it can't hurt you. If you do enough work on yourself, you're like, the shadow can't hurt me. It can be scary enough to look like it can, because it might be trying to stop me in my tracks to get me to listen. But it's always got something remarkable. And here's what I found about doing shadow work. It's 100% inner child work. 100%. Like here's this big scary mask on, roar, big teeth, right? And you're going, whoa. And then by the time you sit and you go, so come on out, talk to me. Here's this little you going, you never heard me when I was hurting when I was 7 years old, rah, rah, rah. And you're like, okay. And then the healing starts. And it's always that, so as corny as it sounds, inner child work is super important and it is shadow work. It's like a blend of the same thing.
I agree. And to me, it's like when we talk about the dark nights of the souls,
Oh, yes.
I feel like that's where the inner child is almost having the tantrum of saying, look, I'm tired of this. We have to look at this. Stop putting it off. Here it is. And I talk about like heroes' journeys and stuff, and I'm like, the greatest gift comes from the other side of that dark night. And so there's always so much more awareness that we gain going through the process. And so I'm wondering, as we're growing and evolving, so to speak, and awakening ourselves, is a lot of what we're talking about with like the tantrics and the energies and everything able to be conveyed like through telepathy in a way of not, and I don't mean telepathy of it's like me saying to you, hey, do you want to get a drink and maybe go do this later? It's more of a telepathy of saying, this is where I am. Are you willing to meet me here? And that's how dating, I guess you could say, would be of the future, is the energies speak for us and don't have to use words.
Oh, I love that. I so love that you brought that up. So there is an interesting thing that happens in Tantra where we say you don't even have to be close to each other to have something called an energy orgasm. In other words, that same kind of element you're talking about, that energetic build, that being able to communicate without words, it can be across the room. Like, yeah, your light's on too. I happen to check you out. And there is now, because we're open and receptive, right? We're able to feel that energetic vibration. But here's the thing I want to say, Michael, that's the first thing we read when we walk in a room. It's not words, it's energy, right? You can walk into a space and go, man, this either feels great or it feels lousy. And you have already done an assessment. And that's all energy right there. And Tantra is like major energy work. All of it encompasses either you're doing mirror work on yourself, shadow work on yourself, rebuilding your inner light, working on trauma. It's all included in it. So it's like, yeah, the next wave of the future should be like now. Is you walk into a space and you're like, you're charged. You're as charged as I am, and this feels really good. And yeah, and I'm hoping more of that expands. And when I get people into my practice and we're doing meditation, deep meditations, and I get them into a nervous system reset, and they come out going, wow. And I'm like, that's more like the natural way things are, like that de-stress, that feeling of peace. Now, we are not always there, but if you keep doing this, your mind goes, that's the natural spot to reset. So we start looking at reverses of disease, right? not just tension and stress, but we all know that's linked together. So vitality, just to say, Tantra is like not just a sexual reunion of two people, but it's also a building into vitality. Like that whole thing about getting old and decrepit is total BS. If that were the case, no one would be amazing at 85. So what the hell are we doing? Right? We are changing energy to make it work for us instead of draining it out of our body, our life force.
And so there is a caveat though to it, and I've had this from my own personal experiences. Like I do walk into a room and I do sense the energy and I get drawn to someone and I'm like, ooh, this energy is really cool. And I get over and I talk a little bit and then I notice ring on the finger and I'm like, why am I being drawn to someone not available? And
Oh.
or be like, energy, like, connects and they're like, oh, I'm seeing someone, but you seem really cool. And it's like, again, why am I being drawn to what's not available? And so how do we kind of, they laugh about like radars for different things. It's like, how do you get the sense of knowing I want to connect with who's available, not the
Hmm.
unavailables?
Yeah, okay, right, because there's really not a buffer when you're talking about walking into a room and you're vibing. So maybe the intention, because remember, we are so powerful, right? I mean, we are extremely powerful. So just having the intention of, I just want to connect with people that are available can start to shift that up a bit. Because otherwise, we're going, man, I just want to meet awesome people in the room. And the universe goes, yeah, let's do it. And some of those people are taken. So, yeah. And hey, if it happens, look, it wasn't that you were wrong. It wasn't that you were off the mark. They just, you were like, I see something gorgeous in you. And apparently someone else did too. And they just got to you first. So keep going. Don't give up. It's a fun ride.
It can be, yeah, and it can also be the opposite. It's like, it's like they say in life, how many rejections can you take before you really
Oh,
start to
yeah.
wonder? And it's like the same thing in relationships. You get like 20 no's, and you're like, do I dare even go for 21? It's like,
Yeah.
is that going to be the one that's going to make or break? And I mean, to me, I just hold out for the universe and let the universe work itself out. But I know that there are people out there who are, sitting there and listening to this and going, yeah, how do we keep up the encouragement to
Mm,
survive all the no's and all the disappointments
yes.
to get the yes?
Right. Now, I think it's harder for men, if I can be honest, than women, because you guys deal with a lot more rejection than women do, if I can be just really clear about that. So, yeah, it's like, how many more times can I handle this? My resilience has got to be off the charts. And one thing to remember, though, Michael, is that we are actually on a path less traveled. So we are surrounded by people that are married, taken, unavailable, maybe not in a good energetic space than we are. So the more discerning and sovereign we become, it seems that becomes narrower and smaller. And that is what's a challenge for us, is having to be so patient until that right connection comes, right? So make sure that you go to places where there are people like you, like deliberately hone into those seminars or places or retreats exactly for those kind of people. And then you're like, okay, I've got a better chance here than I do if I go to the library or wherever else, right? So we have to really, first of all, make sure that you don't have a bunch of yahoos in your life, because that beautiful person can't reach you if there's a bunch of other crazy stuff circulating in your world. Two, also make sure that you have set your home up for a partner. If you're in your bed and you have a pillow only for you, then the universe goes, Nah, you're not ready. So put a space for your partner, even if it isn't there yet. These are little tricks of the trade that do work. If you want a woman in your home, maybe you buy a few candles, you start to put a feminine essence in your home. Make sure you clean things up a little more. And also, there's a way for women's arousal that we talk in Tantra too. And I love sharing this with men because they're like, I had no idea. And one of those first things I want you to know is that women see their surroundings first. So if you're on a date and you take a woman to your house and it's trashed, nope. She has read all kinds of stuff like he's imbalanced, he's immature, he can't take care of himself. And that's an immediate turn off. So lower the lights, as cheesy as it sounds, put on Barry White, whatever else you like, you know, and set the scene, really, because you're saying, I'm taking time to connect to you on this level. And this draws women into the soft space that they need to be, because we need them to be receptive and open, right? So yeah, making sure that you're honing into those spaces where you're going to find those amazing women. Because look, even if you get a no, you're still getting a friend. You're still getting a connection. You may not be getting the sex you're looking for right now, but that has the potential to grow. See what I'm saying?
I do, and I wonder now that I think about it, I do have one mindset that I wonder kind of puts up a red flag block, and it is when it comes to the kitchen and cooking, I don't like when people enter the kitchen and start cooking with me because it's like my mind is like, I'm making this dish. This is, my magic coming to
Oh,
you on a plate, and it's my creation, and it's my meditation space,
yeah.
balance. And you're coming in and you're like, let me do this, let me do that. And I'm like, you're throwing me off. And it's like, so I'm wondering, could that be kind of red flag that it's like, I don't want someone in the kitchen with me and I need to relook at that?
Well, I don't know. It depends. Let's think about it this way. There's two ways to come through on that one. One is that you can be really direct, Michael. You can say, love, I want to serve you tonight. So don't come in the kitchen. My treat. Go sit down. Okay. Now you've used your masculine polarity to be polite, and she's going to be like, oh, that's pretty nice. Two, let's think about what if you're doing something really wild and sensual in that kitchen? Maybe you're making her the dessert for the evening. You might have her come in. So your options are open, just depending on what you want to do. But you can totally be clear about that. You can say, no, sweetheart, I'm going to please you tonight. And you do mean it. Let me surprise you. I'm not even going to tell you what I'm cooking. Curiosity. All of these things are delicious, right? So sometimes it's just how we say it. No red
Yeah,
flags.
well, because I've even had conversations and they'll be like, so do you like to cook? I'm like, yeah. And, if when I settle down, I'll be doing all the cooking. It's like I pre scripted, this is my role, so to speak. And I always found it interesting because, like, I would watch old TV shows like Donna Reed show
Oh, yeah.
and Ozzie and Harriet. And I would watch these and I would see the roles that they defined in that era: men, women, household, this, and this. And it never made sense to me. I was like, why is it he comes home and has all this done? Why can't she be the one that comes home and has all this done? It's like my
Oh,
mind could
yes.
not wrap around this persona that was given to us.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Old paradigm. Right. And you know how many
Right.
women are so turned on by what you just said? I mean, really, because a lot of them are working just as hard as guys, right? School, work, all this other stuff, right? And they come home and all they want to do is be served. So we live in a different time, and we have different loves in life, right? And I think there are so many men, even back in the 50s, that wanted to step into the kitchen role, but it wasn't culturally acceptable, as you're saying too. I mean, they had to go be chefs outside of the home. But now we have, we have a much bigger spectrum. They're not just outside during the backyard barbecue, cooking the chicken on the grill. We've got them in the kitchen now, right? We've got them doing all kinds of things, and it's very hot. It's amazingly wonderful. So, I mean, bravo. I think that the world is ready for this. Women are ready for this.
So, but I guess my question then becomes is how do you relate it more, I guess, acceptable to everyone? Because it seems like again, when I bring it up, it seems like everyone's like, okay, whatever, and goes off. So I must be not communicating it in the right way.
It's just a tweak, darling. Just a tiny tweak. That's it. Course direction. Not a big one. You're not way off the mark. It's just knowing exactly how we talk to each other. Like men are very direct. Just please tell us what you want us to do. Straightforward. But women are a little like, you're going to do what? Oh, thank you. Like we're just like open to possibilities. So it's your opportunity to be creative, to be inspirational, and know that, yeah, you're not far at all, really. It's just that I think you having the confidence to move into the kitchen and say, my space, darling, go sit. And then who's going to argue with that, really?
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I'd be surprised. Oh my goodness.
I would love cooking for my parents, and my mom would always, we would have friends over, and they're like, aren't you going to go in the kitchen? And my mom would look him straight in the face and go, he doesn't allow us in the kitchen.
Oh. Oh.
And I'm like, no. And it
Yeah.
would amaze my mom and my dad when they were with me is because they liked foods I didn't like, but I could cook it. And
Oh.
what was weird to them was, chefs always talk about tasting the food to know when it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I would never taste their food because I didn't want to eat their food. I didn't like what
Yeah.
they wanted. And so I would serve it, and they would be like, how do you get this so good and taste so much better than going out to eat because you you never tried it? I'm like, no, I didn't. It was like there was something about the smell. I
Oh.
was able to cook it through smell. And one of
Wow.
the dishes that I would do for them like that was tomatoes and mushrooms and peppers.
Okay.
Two things that I don't eat. I eat mushrooms on occasion, but I'm not a fan of tomatoes or peppers. But I could cook them really well, and it would confuse my parents.
So you said something pretty relevant. You've said to me that it's like a mode of creation, right? So if I put up a portrait and I decided to get all my paints out, and then somebody came over and said, hey, and took a paintbrush in there and decided to scribble all over my canvas, I'd be a little pissed. So I think this is kind of what's
Yeah,
happening with you in the kitchen is you're
yeah.
like, this is my creation. And you have a real knack for using every sensory, even without tasting. So you don't want people in there messing with your masterpiece. So you're not just cooking, Michael. You are creating something remarkable. So that makes total sense why you don't want another person in there meddling around and messing with your canvas.
Well, and what was funny is I even had one of my ex girlfriends. I brought bags of food with me because I was at her place, and I was like, all I need is this pan. And she's like, what? I'm like, I brought everything I need. I got all my spices, got all my everything. I just need this pan. And she's like, okay. And I think in her mind, she was like, do you not trust my food? why did you bring all of this stuff? And
Right.
I'm
Right.
like, in my mind, I'm like, if I'm your kitchen is going to become my kitchen, I need what I need, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to go and be like, "Do you have this?" No. Oh crap! Now I can't make it. It's like, nope. I wanted to make sure I had everything so I could pull it off.
Have you ever seen a woman's makeup, like her makeup drawer? I mean, she doesn't have 2 or 3 pieces of makeup. She has like 20, and she needs all of it because on any given day, she has a different idea, right? A different concept. So it's no different. Like if you can just compare that, it's the same. You would not go in there and say, honey, you only need 2 pieces of this or 1 shade of lipstick. She'd go, are you insane? No, no, no. I need 10. I need all those, because I have a million dresses in there and this has to be. So it's the same. And I guess people just don't understand quite yet how art works, because you may need a fraction of what you brought in, but you might not.
Right. And I love how you keep talking about how guys are direct because I grew up being around women a lot, and so I learned, and I wouldn't say I cracked the code, so to speak, and translate for them, but I have learned like being direct is when a girlfriend would come out and say, "How does this look on me?" I would look her straight in the face and be like, "I can't answer that question." And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm
Oh
like,
no.
I cannot answer that question because here's the reason why. If I tell you it looks good, you're going to say you're just saying that because I'm the boyfriend. And if
Uh-oh.
I say it looks bad, then you're going to say, oh my God, you don't like this on me. And it's like,
You're
it's a no win
trapped.
scenario. I'm like, I am not going into that trap. It, it's in 3 different facets that I learned that. And I'm like, whenever they come up, I'm like, you're not getting me in that trap.
You
No.
just stop right. No, can't. That's kind of a
And
safe bet, though, I think. Yes.
they'll look at me stunned, and it's like, yes, I am a guy, and yes, I have figured out that trap,
Oh,
but there really is no way, really truly, out of it because even acknowledging it, you're getting the same as if you did do it.
I wonder if you ask them, how do you think you look, sweetheart? I wonder what they would say. I think I look good. I think you're right. You do. It's a possible because sometimes they want validation. I think I look good. I just want extra. But if you're not even able to say that without it being a trap, that becomes a situation in itself, right? So I see where the
Right.
hook is entirely.
Yeah. It, I've done it with guys around, and guys will look at me and they're like, dude, how did you figure that out? And I'm like, dude, I paid attention.
I paid attention.
I observed. I learned.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I think that's one of the things too that a lot of people don't realize is, we watch what each other does,
Hmm.
but we don't really watch.
Oh yeah.
It's like it's a surface watch of, okay, yeah, they're doing this. Okay, I'll go back to doing this. And I think, you know, I kind of have the mindset of if I'm needing to get an idea across, I go to TV shows or movies to help make the visual, so to speak, point.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I like Hallmark movies so much is
Oh yes.
because they're going through the whole life cycle of the relationship in a way that it's like, okay, here's the formula of the relationship. They even spell it out when they say, this is what makes our movies great. You
Mm.
have the reconnection or connection, you have the spark, you have them doing stuff together to make the spark grow.
Yes.
Then you have the conflict that dims the spark.
Mm-hmm.
and they decide, okay, I was wrong. I judged you over this, or he judged me over this. They talk it over and they reconcile, and the relationship goes forward.
Yes.
And they get married, or however the movie ends. And so it's like I look at life now that way, and there are times that it's like I'm like, this is so profound, but then there are times that I look at it and go, this is so just TV movie.
Right.
This
Right.
never actually would happen. It's like these conversations, deep conversations are having on these movies never would happen
Right.
because it just that is not in reality.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
right. That's why it's a movie.
I wonder, because I start filtering it that way, it's like, it starts landing that way. It's like, is that blocking me from having it in reality? Because why can't it be reality? Why am
Yeah.
I programming myself not to have that reality?
Ooh, good question. Good question. One thing that I noticed that I love symbology, if you haven't figured that out by now. One thing, I love what you're saying here about how things come together. And what I've recognized is I like to term things like we are building a garden. When two people first get together, they have a ton of light together. People are like, ooh, there's something between you guys. We feel it, it's palpable. The energy is very, very palpable. And I say that this at this point, we're building a garden around us. And that might look like tomatoes, watermelon, it might look like roses, but every single part of that garden needs nurturing and care in a unique way. You actually have to take care of a rose differently than you do a watermelon, right? And as long as the two of you are in the center, you're good. But what happens was, as soon as things are going right, you take each other out and you stick career in the middle. You stick children in the middle, and you're running around the garden trying to keep up, and everything's falling apart. So the whole thing I like to say is, as long as the two of you stand in the center, you're strong. And you have to remember, you need sun, you need breath, you need water. That means you need time to grow, to love each other, and pay attention, right? If something's wilting in your garden, don't ignore it. And you're going to have to pull weeds. You have to pull weeds. It's inevitable. But we are always building. And here's the thing, relationships typically don't plateau for long durations. We just don't know how to build the spark. And Tantra is about continuing the that exploration, right? So we stay young forever. We get to points where we can talk about what really, like, things we've wanted to try. What's on your bucket list? What do you really want to do that you've never done before? And then we go about trying to make that happen together, because it's a unit, right? That whole thing about being one, being married as one or unified as one, is not just an interesting terminology. It really is solid. When your partner's hurting, you hurt too. So, and as long as we can recognize that, don't take yourself out of the center of that garden, or everything else falls apart. So I think movies are beautiful in helping us to try to explore those possibilities, but they're also fantasy, right? And I think you realize, like, where's the juice in this I can hold on to? Like, what, because you long for it. We all do. I'm telling you, this is what we want. We want connection. More than anything in the world, we want to be seen, we want to be heard, recognized, appreciated, approved of. That's what we're looking for. That's the golden chalice. Yeah, the cars come and go, the jobs come and go, blah, 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 blah. But does your love stay solid? And that's the real work.
Yeah, and that's so true. And one of the things that I always found interesting was when you would hear, like, you talk to your grandparents and you'd be like, how are you guys still together? And they would just be like, well, we just, we're comfortable. We know each other. We are, we're just here for each other. And you're like, okay. And they make it look like there's no work needed because they just go with the flow. And then you'll hear other people who are like, I've been married for 5 years and we're getting bored and dull and we're needing to spice it up. And I'm like, why do you need to spice it up? What is different between, and I know not everybody's relationship is the same, but in my mind I start looking at how did theirs quote unquote
Mm,
fizzle out in 5 years, where these people haven't fizzled out yet in their 50 years. It's
yeah.
like, what's the difference? What caused this? And I start to wonder, going, and then it's like you hear, oh, if you start a business and you can make it 3 years, you can make it, no matter what. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, in marriage, if you can make it, I think it's 5 years, you can pretty much last the test of time. And I'm like, why do we have ourselves on these
Uh-huh.
plans of, we have this much time to establish this, or this will happen?
Yeah.
Where did that start, and why?
First, I have to say that that whole process of if we stay together 3 to 5 years, we can make it is total crap, because challenges happen, losses happen, situations occur. If the house burns down, you lose a child, that affects your relationship. So there's no truth in that. But what happens with those people that stay solid for 50 years? They keep themselves in the center of the garden. They never stop growing the love for each other. They can hold the cup in the morning and sip their tea and look in each other's eyes and be like, honey, I love you for all these reasons. You still knock my socks off. So there's appreciation between the two of them because they recognize that's what's important. These days, they're hijacked by overstimulation all the time, and they're always looking for something new and exciting. And well, that's okay too, but sometimes it's great just to hold each other, to be in each other's space, and to slow down, right? And when we can honor each other, that's what makes things grow, whether it's 3 years or it's 50 years. We just don't give up on each other. So, really, there is some effort that you have to put into to doing this love thing. And if you talk to people who are like your grandparents, they won't tell you it was an easy road. They will never tell you that they didn't have any challenges. They'll say, "Man, we had some rocky times." 100%, but they worked through it. Why? Because their love was that important. So really it's got to be like, people these days are like, maybe there's somebody better. And they're just so quick to give up on themselves and each other. So that's the truth of that. We don't keep needing like better, more, 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 more. But what we need is like authenticity. We need presence. We need to be able to stay in each other's space and actually love each other with ketchup on our cheeks, right? And looking crazy in the morning and bad breath and all of that, and love each other through all that too, because hard times are coming. That's 100%. There's no relationship that's a smooth sailor. Never, because we're always growing, right? So you have to make the
Right.
choice.
And I wonder sometimes too if the way I kind of brought myself up with relationships kind of impacts this as well. Is like, I could be on a date with someone and the waitress is totally flirting, and I will never realize it. I will be completely oblivious to it. Or I could be with my parents and family friends, and they're like, "You should totally go get that waitress's number. She's flirting with you." I'm like, "No, she's not." And it's
Oh,
like, I never see it. And I'm
mm,
wondering if it's because, in my mind, as I said earlier, I don't have it in me to cheat.
yeah,
When what I mean by that is, I laugh with people, but it's true. Is, if I'm like, say, dating someone at this moment, a female could walk up to me, undress, and I would never even notice she was undressing. And
yes.
I'd be like, "Can I help you?"
You're loyal.
And be totally oblivious to what's going on. And I often wonder, why is it people will sit there in relationships? I see it on TV all the time, where they're like, "Oh, so and so is paying attention to me, and so I got really interested and I didn't quite cheat, but I wanted to. And it's like,
Mhm.
why? You know, why did you stray? Why would you want to stray? And that's the part that confuses me is because I don't see it. I
Yeah.
don't have it in me. And so it's like, I can't understand the strain.
Yeah. No, I get you. But we have to understand too, people also work out of validation. When they're always questioning, am I enough? Then they'll seek outside themselves or their relationship to try to, and it's always detrimental, right? Cheating never ends up being a good thing. So they've got one eyeball out here and another one looking at their partner. But here's the thing, when we work on ourselves, like when I said you were loyal, I meant like you're honored with your partner. She's all you see. She's the rock of your world, right? And another woman could be traipsing around naked and you're like, don't even see you, baby. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, you're solid, right? And I'm not trying to put blame on a person who likes to have multiple partners. That's not entirely what I'm saying. Is that though when we feel like we are enough, when we feel really secure with ourselves, this is exactly what happens, what you're saying. You just don't notice. It's just not there. It's there when it needs to be. When you want to switch the switch on and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to date. I'm ready to explore. I'm ready to see. Then you get to notice a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Does that make
And
sense?
it does. And it would annoy my mom actually quite a lot because she would be like, you're not married. You're not, committed to anything. Why are you denying yourself these opportunities? And I'm like, and I also would say to my mom, I have a hard enough time keeping track of the likes and dislikes of the one I'm with. You
Yeah.
start adding two or three, I am like, I don't know how guys do this. And I literally, it's like when I hear one guy's like, oh, I got this girl in this city and this one in this city, and I have this one and I'm married to this one. I'm like, how do you keep them all straight? How do you keep
Oh,
track of everything? It's like my mind would be in overload and overstimulated and shut down from way too much information. And I'm like, how is this even possible? Anyone could do this. And I do know it ends up failing all the time, but it's like the fact that they can do it at all amazes me, but not to the point that I want to do it. But
yeah.
it just, I'm like, and the same thing with women. It's like, how do you keep track of all these different things? And I actually got ostracized from my family, one side of my family, because I wouldn't go do the sell your wild oats path because that's what they wanted us to do. And that's what they, like, my cousins would do. And they were like, these, what they're doing is great. What you're doing is not. And I'm like, I think you got that backwards somehow. Were you dropped as a kid or something? Because this is not normal. What I'm doing is the normal thing. And
Yeah.
so, it's how do you reconcile that, and come to terms with that and settle, and balance all of that?
That is a really great question. So, with people, they fragment. What you're saying is, when you have one person, let's say your primary lover, all of your energy can go into that one person. And yes, it's enough energy for you to work on yourself and then to be with one other. Even if you add another person in that mix, you still have to be super solid with your primary, right? Like the second you start going behind their back and they don't know what you're doing, you're fragmenting and you are becoming weaker because of it. Too many pieces, too much in the brain, too much energy all over the radar ends up in collapse. So even with polyamory relationships or polyamorous relationships, you still have to be you have to have a primary. You have to hone in, right? And then those people that you're adding, you have to have that much energy put into those people too. So it's a lot more work. To be totally honest, to make it work, it's a lot of work because there's no such thing as I'm just going to go behind your back tonight, George, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. And don't you worry about what I'm doing, because George is going to be up all night thinking about what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, to be real, you're absolutely right, because two people, yin and yang, masculine and feminine, right? Everything else is icing on the cake, but you guys are cake in the center. And we find love grows deeper when we do that. Again, I'm not opposed to people having multiple lovers, but being responsible and be held accountable for that is incredibly important, right? So I'm not open to people just having a million people. I just think it's a bad plan. It's a bad plan sexually. It's a bad plan energetically. It's even a bad plan on your, all of it, your finances too.
Yeah.
I can see detriment in it as well. So yes. And again, but I think when people are just, they feel like they want that validation, they just need to feel important. They act in these ways all the time. They're trying to put notches in their belt, so to speak. How many people can I have to make me feel amazing? Well, you take your brain with you, your mind with you everywhere. So it's an inside job to feel amazing with yourself first. And then, you find you don't need 50 people on the side.
Well, and I wonder too if it has to do with I taught myself in relationship because trust is key. Trust is, the most important thing along with communication. They're like the equal two important keys that I would say, and this is surprising because I didn't have the best childhood, so to speak, growing up. I went through a lot of traumas and abandonment issues and other issues that I processed and worked through. But when all was said and done, I would start every relationship the same way, and that is I give you full trust until you break it. And then when you break it, then we have to figure out, is it worth fixing, or do you even want to fix it, or are we done? And I think that throws people off because it's like, how do you trust with everything you've been through? How can you actually really trust someone you've just met and have that and not expect them to break it? It's like, well, I don't expect them to break it, but there's breaking it in that they don't tell me.
Yeah.
And I find out there's somebody else breaking, right, versus them coming and saying, hey, I went and had drinks with so and so. And I'm like, thanks for telling me. Mm-hmm. Am I happy about it? Not really. Is it bothering me? No.
Right.
Because I know you came home here and you felt comfortable enough to tell me. So I'm okay with it. I'm not upset.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's when it's hidden, that's where, to me, the trust starts whittling and eventually breaks.
Yes.
And so I completely just lost my train of thought. I was like, I feel like maybe I was just tooting my own horn at that moment, but no, I'm sure I had a point. I was going there with, now I got it. Is that a wise way to go into relationships? Or am I setting myself up because I'm going in that way and not building the trust up, that the trust is already there?
Well, I love this because you're right. Trust and communication are huge. And I'm going to add a third element into that: surrender. So when we're trusting, we're also surrendering to the capacity, right? Without that, one of us is not receiving. So that flips back and forth: trusting, surrendering, back and forth, and communicating. And really, we want our women to feel so safe that she can tell you she's going out for drinks before she goes out for drinks, right? So you're like, not a problem, sweetheart. But oftentimes, she's so terrified about how a man will take it that she tells them after the fact. So it's work on women also feeling the safety of being able to deliver it, and men having a space, because that takes some work. Like, we've been traumatized, both ends, both of us. All of us have grown up with trauma. I have never met a person who wasn't traumatized, to be honest. Okay, so we end up bringing all of that to the table, right? And so, absolutely. But I would say it may not be broken, right? Trust may continue to be there as long as communication is stable.
Right. And I think another misnomer in relationships that comes from our parents and society is if you're in a relationship, married or dating, your free time should be together. And, that's the sign of solid. And if he's like, oh, you're going on a girls' night out, okay, I'll just wonder what you're doing and why you're not here. It's like, and I have the opinion, I really don't care. If you want a girls' night out, take the girls' night out.
Yes,
I don't need to know what's going on.
right, right. No,
And
that's
I don't need to spend every second with you to be in
mhm,
this. But I also noticed, though, there is a pattern of when one day is off, it then becomes like 3 days away, 5 days away. And it's like the time span grows. That's
yeah.
where my mind goes, wait a minute. Do we have too much freedom and we're losing what we have? Or are we doing the right thing and trusting each other and having separate lives while still having a life together? So
Yeah.
how do you draw that line?
Well, have a commitment, okay? Because it does depend. Like, if you're in a relationship with a performer who's traveling, you may not be seeing that person for days on end, and that's just the way it is, okay? Or a person who's traveling on business. So have like a set check-in. Sweetheart, if it's been 2 days, please call me. Just let me know all is good, right? Because time and distance does definitely make things tough. Too much. 5 days, you start to be like, do they even remember my face, right? But yeah, I mean, set a boundary for the two of you. That's super important. Again, communicating, because I do believe that you should not be spending every waking hour with each other. You should have your talents, your dreams, your passions, your friends. You need to have spaces where you're still operating like you were before you got in a relationship. This keeps things good. It keeps things, and by the time you get back together, it keeps things really hot and amazing. Okay. So, but yeah, just saying 5 days is too long, sweetheart. So check in with me, and even if a person's on the other side of the world, they can typically do that for you, right? You can have a video call. You can pick up the phone and have sexting, whatever you're gonna do. You can make things work in multiple ways. You really can, and we are creative enough to do that. Yeah.
And bringing up the sexting, I can't help wonder though, did technology ruin relationships to a degree?
Mm,
Because, like you were talking about earlier, when we first started, it's like she can take care of herself now through other means, so it doesn't need to have the male aspect to deal with that. And so, has that eroded relationships and everything because it no longer requires two people, so to speak?
Well, both on both ends, right? Because we have things that now are animated games and things like that for men too. So I think we can use it. Way back before we had computers, I was born before the internet. So
So
way
was
back
I.
then, yes, we had writing. Do you remember? So our sexting was in a written letter, right? Sometimes an
Right.
airplane to a hot person. Yeah. So, but we received it that way. Now I think we can use it. Like, one of the things that I like to teach couples is how to do this erotic connection on the phone. Like, typically we go, really? We can do that? Oh, yes, you can. So you can do hot and heavy fantasies on the phone far away and actually build your relationship doing that. So I think we can use it. And as far as women not needing men, Women will always need that part. Men will always need the warmth of a woman. So we can't replace it. Although I feel that in this day and age, what we're trying to do, I think, is we're saying programming people to believe that they don't need it, that they're so self-sufficient that they can remain isolated. But we find that this is detrimental mentally to each other, that we actually need human connection. We need voice. We need interaction more than just texting. Pick up the phone and listen to a person's voice, right? Um,
Yeah, there
we
is something about the frequency.
That's right. Yes, absolutely right. Whether it's in a written message, whether it's in a video call, we can use it. I mean, the good thing is, love, we didn't have video calls when we were kids, right? Like this was one of those far outshot futuristic things. You're like, one day we're going to be able to see each other naked on a video. And we're like, no, that's no. And here we are. I mean, that's an everyday occurrence, right? So we can use it.
Yeah, I think our generation was the generation of no, you will never see us naked on phones or anything. And
Right.
it's like, and I love when people make the wisecrack of we were the generation before cell phones. Thank God, because if what we actually were doing was ever caught on
Oh!
a camera, phone would be like, oh my God. And it's like, we think about it, we're like, that is so actually true. It's like we were more crazy and nutty, but we didn't go to the extremes of like hurting
Right,
someone,
right.
but we came close, but we never. And I feel like that's why I wonder what technology is ruining it, because it makes it too accessible. It makes it
Mhm.
too out there that it no longer has that sacred feeling to it, that it's becoming just an activity.
Yes, yes. Remember when we used to build heat on the phone? Remember when we were talking on the phone and the cord was so long you could reach across the other end of the house,
Yeah.
right? Your parents couldn't hear
Yep.
you. So, but we were building heat, like you couldn't see each other. There was curiosity going on, and what are you really doing over there? Yeah, we don't know. Right now, you're right. That's like the cat's out of the bag. We get to see it all. So I think we kind of have to monitor that a little bit so that we're not being overly stimulated with these kinds of innuendos, right? Because some of it is too it is too much. It is too fast, too quick, and what we see obviously is we're having consequences for those kinds of things, where anxiety disorders, more depression, more feelings of isolation, right? Disenfranchisement, all of that stuff is coming up. So we have to slow down and get creative again in our ways of, maybe doing a little old school. That's totally fine.
Yeah. So, what advice do you have for couples? I know we've kind of talked round robin around this kind of aspect here and there in different ways, but what advice do you really truly have for people who are trying to balance the divine masculine and divine feminine within themselves to bring it out in the relationship?
That is beautiful, really beautiful. So I'm going to say working on the basics, calling in presence. And in order to do that, we have to slow down and breathe together. We have to be willing to look in each other's eyes. We have to be willing to communicate what it is we need. And that can take time on both ends. A man has to understand that women are usually very guarded. They've had to compromise most of their life. And so for them to soften can take a minute. And they have to trust you, which also means that your capacity to communicate to her can't be to fix her. She doesn't want to be fixed. She just wants to be heard and understood. She wants to be seen and recognized for where she's at right now and approved of, not fixed, right? And when a man can hold that space, amazing things start to happen. So that's the basis for what we build with each other. And the rest of it grows. It's a step at a time. But getting back into that beautiful bonding where you're sitting together, holding space. And I say do it every day. Like I have a ritual for couples called the appreciation ritual. Like every day, listing 5 things that you appreciate about each other before you go to bed. Like that's the last thing on your mind is, baby, I loved what we did today. And in the morning, doing that too. That doesn't hurt at all. Start the day out like that too. It's how you begin, right? It's the thoughts you hold about each other. Life is going to happen around you. It really is. But having practices for women also where they fill their own cup. Because women are so used to giving, 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 gotta do, and they don't take it back. They can't even take a compliment. You know that? They can't take a
Oh
compliment. Oh, no,
yeah.
no, this old dress. I know. I mean, it's hard for a woman to say, thank you. Yeah, it is a good dress, isn't it? I mean, that takes a little bit of work. But when she can start doing that and really feel it, there's a magic occurrence that happens. She's being witnessed and she's being accepted. So it's a dance. It really is.
And one last thing I'm kind of curious about, since we're talking about all this, and I have a prime example lined up for it that comes from my life, and I get what I call falsely accused of stuff because of this. Is in my nature is if I was to say genuinely, the example I'm going to give, I'm just going to preface is true, and I'm not making it up just for the point of the thing of what I'm asking, but to say like your hair looks really nice and that's a really cute outfit on you, I would in turn be looked at and saying, "Why are you flirting with that person?
Oh, right.
What are you doing?" And I'm like, I wasn't flirting. I was just stating a comment,
Mm-hmm.
but it gets misread. And so
Yes.
is that because how I said it or related, or is that their shadow coming out and I really didn't do anything wrong and I shouldn't stop, and look and go, uh, how do I need to say this so it comes out right? And
Okay.
just be my authentic self and saying it, but then I don't want to deal with the drama in the car, so to speak, of why were you flirting with that person? You totally were flirting with them. And I'm like,
Okay,
what?
so I can tell you where this comes from. All right, so this is pretty easy. So most men will use these kind of tactics for access, and a woman knows that. And she will quickly relate anything that's nice said to her as you want something more. There tends to be an expectation sitting there, even when there's not one. So here's something that I tend to have men do: deliver the compliment and walk the fuck off. Excuse my language. Walk away immediately. Leave, like, thank you. Your hair is beautiful and I love your outfit. And walk away. And she goes, oh, he didn't try to go further. Wow. Maybe he really just meant that. And doing that enough times so just shaves off the possibility that you are not there trying to gain access for women. And sometimes women will go, oh man, he almost didn't even wait for me to say thank you. How interesting. Though you do, you're like, that's wonderful, but I just wanted to deliver this and say that, and then I'm going to leave and depart. And flirting, by the way, doesn't necessarily mean that you're wanting to go further into that. You just are the idea here, and I'm going to say this: when I tell women to flirt, I'm like, it's not about sex. Look, I can flirt with a dog. I can flirt with your grandmother. I can flirt with a cat down the street, meaning that I'm slowing down enough to pay attention and I'm going to have a blast. I'm just going to be engaged. That's what flirting is. It has nothing to do with sex. So, but people get twisted about that. Oh, you must have an agenda or an expectation. Probably not. And so you just deliver your beautiful, shining self, and you almost can't be worried about how women take it, because the women that can take that compliment will take it well and say, thank you. And that'll be the end completely. But that's typically what's happening so that it's not you. Okay. It's a cultural dynamic by women are used to a man giving a compliment because it's right around the corner. Can I have your number? Before we hit that, we're like, oh, no, no, don't even want to go there. So it's cut off. So I don't think you're doing a thing wrong. It's just other things that are going on within their construct.
Yeah, because in my mind, one, I don't see flirtation when it's coming my way. And like you were saying earlier, about the language, I'm like, I for damn sure have no idea how to flirt in my own head. So I'm like, when I get told you're flirting, I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm like, I don't
Teach
have a
me
clue how
how.
to do it. I'm like, I never learned to flirt. I never learned how that works. And so when I get accused of it, it's like my mind is like, yeah, whatever. And I wonder if, that, comes off in a bad way too to people is that it comes off as I don't believe you that what you're saying is true. And coming off as saying I don't believe you, and it's not that, it's I don't believe I did it because I don't believe I can. And so it's that disbelief in me. I'm wondering if they're picking it up
Uh-huh.
and going, oh, so now he's going to say he doesn't believe me because he's doing something.
And now we're in shadow dancing, aren't we?
Yep.
Full circle.
But
Yes.
that's how my life works. Is it's like I do that and mentally I play that script whenever I say something, do something. It's like I'm going through that script of, did she read it this way? Did I relay it this way? Am I not seeing something? Are they pointing something out that I need to pay attention to? Or are
Uh-huh.
they judging me and I don't need to? And it's like I go through this mind dance. Granted, I can do it really quick and nobody really knows I'm doing it, but it is there.
Yeah. I want to say this too. If next time you have a female gal in your life, practice your flirting skills on her. Just say, I'm going to purposely try to flirt. I want to put this hat on and see how it bounces. And tell me what really vibes to you. So you can get an idea of what like where your feedback is, right? Cuz she'll communicate, she'll go, "Oh no, that was dreadful."
Yeah.
Or she might go, "Ooh, I like the way you said that." This is going to give you some helpful insight as to whether you're talking to the like your waitress or your host, right? If you want to deliver an honest compliment without it being too overtly sexual, practice on your lady and say, where did I draw the line, or where did I cross the line? Where did I go a little too far?
Yeah.
Because again, it is tough for women to accept this. We are actually told to not accept compliments. Oh, that we're so much better off when we just don't need anything, and then we don't fill our own cups, right? And then we're resentful and empty, and no one runs well on fumes, not at all. So flirting is a way to fill your cup and hers too. Like quite literally, I'm teaching women in practice, like flirting should be an everyday thing that you do, and it has nothing to do with sex, really. But moving through life happy, free, feeling good, being open, being confident that you can say what you need to say. And no matter what people, if a person can tell you what their opinion is, it still belongs to them, Michael. It's still their
Yeah.
opinion, right? So you just
Yeah.
own you.
It would be funny because I would go to my female friends because I have mostly female friends, which that too gets me in trouble. And they're all like, and a lot of them are like, you can't have just female friends. I'm like, well, you
Hmm.
have guy friends, don't you? And they're
Yes.
like, no. I'm like, why not? Why
Right.
don't you? It's like
Yeah. Yes.
it. But my female friends that really know me, they're like, they'll just kind of smile and laugh and they'll go, you have such a big heart that it comes off sometimes not as because people don't know your heart.
Oh yeah.
And so they're misreading, but you're okay. Just keep being you.
That's
And
right.
it's like, I kind of like having that balancing act because it's like, I know they're not going to fluff me and say, "Oh, we'll tell him what he wants to hear
Proof.
because you know we're have this friendship." No, that's we're honest with each other, and it's yeah. And so there are so many times that I've been told it's because you have such a big heart. People don't know it; they're not used to that, and so they're misreading
Mhm.
it. And I'm like, well, I don't know what else to do with it. It is what it is.
That's right. It is. And you're still delivering. You're still delivering something beautiful. And look, even if they can't take it right now, you still gave it. Like you planted a seed of, I see you. You are beautiful. I recognize you today. And that's what you delivered. They'll be able to take it or they won't. Still not your job to make sure that they do, right? But yeah, and definitely we can have female friends, male friends. And when we think that we get in a relationship, we can no longer have that, it posts an interesting construct, doesn't it? It says that you can only have friends that are the opposite sex if there's sex involved, which is just not true. It's not true at all. So I think it's really good to still have that balance, to have the feminine and the masculine, because you would do that if you were single. I don't think a whole lot should change, because when it really disrupts who you are, you end up living fraudulently. You know what I'm saying? You don't
Right.
feel back in your mind. You're missing it. You're aching for how it used to be, and that's not fair to anyone.
Yeah. Well, I just realized we are over an hour and a half already.
Look at that.
I'm like, we're actually approaching an hour and 40 minutes. I'm like, wow.
You
I
see what time flies when you're having fun.
and so is there anything you wish to promote or anything you have coming up that you would like to promote before we end this
Yes.
part?
Yes, I have the Jade Garden coming up actually May 28th, and that is an all inclusive 6-week immersion for women that are learning the sacred wisdom of yoni. We have the ancient practices of anatomy, the sacred yoni ritual exercises with the yoni egg, and how to really tap into pleasure throughout your whole life. So it's not just about parts of your body, it's about really tuning into your feminine wisdom. So that is coming around soon for those people who want to follow me, get on board with that. There are a couple of prerequisites. I do require a little meditation and a little yoga classes, and that's just because we want to be centered and used to this kind of thing because it's going to be in the course pretty repeatedly. So that's what I have going on. And there's so much more all the time. So just stay connected with me, everybody.
Yes, and hopefully we'll get you back on and we can
I'd love that.
continue this because I agree. It's like as much as we were talking tonight, it's like I feel like I'll normally say we've hit the proverbial ice tip of the iceberg, but I feel like we didn't even really get to the tip of the iceberg. It's like we got the little point at the
Yeah,
top.
let's keep going. Absolutely. I'd be honored, Michael. Thank you.
And before we go, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience that you feel like we didn't get a chance to get to tonight?
I think we covered so many incredible topics this evening. We talked about shadows, we talked about feelings, we talked about being able to be confident in our body, we talked about relationships and what that looks like and how we connect with each other, and how ages and lifestyle and culture has definitely changed the dynamic on understanding polarity and how we want to come into spaces that feel natural and very sacred for us. And I think we're heading in the right direction. I really do. I think that we are coming into a new earth, a new vibe, and that we're at the best time ever to be alive. Truly, truly. So keep up the good work. Keep shining. Keep being who you are. Keep reaching higher. Because it's unlimited. Our potential is vast.
Yeah, well, thank you. And yes, I agree. And I just want to point out Kaylee Jacobs 1984. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He
Yes!
says, "You done great tonight, Goddess and Michael. I love the questions you asked." Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michael, for having me here. And I'd be honored to do this again since we only barely tipped the iceberg.
Yes, and I do have a message for you, Phaedra. And this is something that comes from my heart that I've kind of branched from over the seasons, kind of making it my own. And that is from my heart and the heart of my shows to you. Thank you for what you're doing for humanity.
Oh,
It's seen, felt, and heard and appreciated.
thank you so much. That means a lot, Michael. Thank you. Back at you, man.
Thank you. So, to everyone watching this, make sure you like, subscribe, follow along my channel because you never know when we'll have Phaedra back on. And also follow Phaedra. Her links are in the description. And so do follow along, support us. We can't do what we do without your support.
Yes.
I mean, we could, but it'd be really boring. But
Truth.
so thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful night. And we will see you all on the next episode. Good
Thank
night,
you.
everyone.